My name is Carly Orshan, and I'm the director of the teen department at SAGE, the Center for Advancement of Jewish Education in Miami, and I run the March of Living program. I'm excited to have a conversation with the directors of the Living Witness, who will soon introduce themselves to you. Thank you all for joining us. So please, can you introduce yourselves to our audience today?
Hi.
Hi.
So we're the directors of the Living Witnesses, and this is Karolina Markiewicz, and I am Pascal Piron, and we are here from Luxembourg. Thank you so much for having us. It's really exciting to be with you.
We are very happy to be part of this beautiful festival and having the discussion with you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to get to know both of you a little bit. And to learn how you got into filmmaking, into directing, and that journey, just to share a little bit about who you are.
Well, we started 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. Pascal is a painter, and I'm more of a writer and for theater. And the compromise was to make films. So we started with a film which was called Les Formidables, the brave, the great. And it was about teenage immigrants in Luxembourg, because we are both based in Luxembourg. And we are both film directors, artists, and teachers. And then we decided to make a film, a regular film, a classical film, but also a film installation, which was shown in exhibitions, in museums, and which could reach other audiences.
Yeah, so we work as teachers, and I don't know if you know this fact about Luxembourg, but around 50% of the population are not Luxembourgish, but they are foreigners. So we have a huge community of immigrants or people who are here in the second or third generation. And this is, of course, a reality that we also see at our schools, and especially Karolina works at a school where you have new arriving people. So you have immigrants who just arrived here, who are there a few days, few weeks, and then go to school. So it's something that we are confronted with on a daily basis. So, I mean, this is where our interest of giving these, especially these young people, these teenagers, a voice and show their view of Luxembourg.
Yes, and I'm teaching social sciences, means also history, and one of the most important part at cinquième, between 16 and 17, when they're 15 and 17 years old, it's the Second World War. So here in Luxembourg, we had a community of 3,500 Jewish people before Second World War. Not only Jews from Luxembourg, but also refugees from the Eastern countries. And from 1940, they, of course, started to be discriminated, and they were deported from Luxembourg to the different camps in the eastern countries of Europe. So that's why we decided to make the Living Witnesses and to bring also the stories of the students we have been teaching now for 15 years, which are, in my case, also a lot of refugees coming from Syria, coming from Eritrea, coming from other African countries, but mostly now from Afghanistan, mostly people who have to exile, to be in exile with or without parents. That was the idea, the first idea of the Living Witnesses.
That's really wonderful. First of all, I love that you guys are educators, really first and foremost. As a fellow educator, I think that, you know, film is education, and I found this film to be very informative in really showing these immigrants, showing their experiences and juxtaposing it in a way with the Holocaust and with the Second World War, and really the arising challenges of what's going on with growing nationalism and different things in Poland. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to unpack with you all. But as we do, I'd love to just understand a little bit about, you know, why you felt that this story was so important to tell in this particular way.
My parents come from Poland, but a part of my family is Jewish, and for me it was kind of crucial now to tell this story. And the idea is not our idea. It was the idea of Memo Shoah in Luxembourg. There's an association, and 4 years ago, or almost 5 years ago, they asked us if we would be interested in making a documentary about the deportation of the Luxembourgish Jews to Litzmannstadt, to what is called now Łódź in Poland. And we thought, yes, we would like to do it, but we are not. I mean, it was important to make a bridge into what is happening now, to try to find a way to tell the story, how we write history together and how we all are part of this writing. And we decided to do it with the young people and the survivors, Claude Marx from Luxembourg, and Marian Turski from Poland, and also Halina Grzesznarowska-Szpilman. So
yeah, from my side, so my education on history and Luxembourgish history, I mean, it's been a few years, but so it probably changed in the time. But I learned about Second World War in a very condensed way. So it happened, and then like it hasn't been really. There's not been done a lot of work about it. Also about the Luxembourgish population. Apparently, they all were in the like fighting Nazis in resistance in the underground and stuff like that, which is of course not true. And but there's like this history written after things happen, and it's not reflecting what really happened. And so I learned about that, and I learned about the Holocaust, the discrimination of Jewish people. But I realized that I had no contact with Jewish culture whatsoever. It's completely missing still after the Second World War. There is no Jewish culture. It didn't come back like it was here before. So it's something that was very intriguing to me to like dive into it and get to know it. And I wanted to do it because I felt like it's something that I need also to work on for myself, like this history, to really get to know what happened. And the idea to introduce young people, of course, is something that we do all the time. And we wanted to like Karolina said, to construct this bridge to the present.
There is one artist, it's Yael Bartana, and she was representing some years ago, I don't remember exactly, Poland for the Venice Biennale in arts, and she made this beautiful project about all the Jews who are missing now in Poland, to bring them back, to bring their voices back, to bring the culture back. And it's the same situation all over Europe. And of course in Luxembourg, I was never very sure about what happened, because as Pascal said, the Jewish community is very small. It is active. Right now we have two different communities, one in the south of Luxembourg, one in the center. And but of course there is this pre-war culture missing. And I had always in my mind these installation of Yael Bartana when we started to do the film.
That's really remarkable to be bringing, you know, history alive in a way, and to try to remember. And I think you do that a bunch in the film itself. You know, one thing that I loved watching and kind of seeing was actually when they went to Łódź, because I've been there before. Our March to the Living program is named after Leo Martin, who survived Łódź. So it's the Leo Martin March to the Living program. And so we typically try to go. And I've also been with a survivor who's been able to find, and we made a headstone for her father, who had been buried in a mass grave and never had one before. And so when you were walking, one, I think emotionally I connected to that because I was remembering, right? And to me, that was so significant when I had been there before. But I think that for audiences, it shows, you know, really, when you're in Łódź, it shows how the community was taken apart in a way, you know, from being, you know, seeing a synagogue to where deportation happened, to, you know, understanding a cemetery that's been there for centuries, right, for so long, and then who is caring for these spaces now. And I think that, you know, their gentleman in the synagogue saying, "I want to preserve this," was so impactful to me. And knowing that it's difficult to preserve right now. And that's where that spark of, there are still people that don't want to preserve this history and that don't want to confront it. So I think it's, one, really brave that you're doing this. I think it's really remarkable. And I think that then shedding light on some of this nationalism that's developing and has been growing throughout Europe, and especially in Poland, as you highlighted, is really alarming, and something that we need more people like you doing what we're doing, of shedding light on history. When you were filming, was there anything that really shocked you throughout the process, that you really, you know, maybe changed the direction that you were going, or really just, you know, was new to your understanding or to what you were planning to be doing?
So, I mean, there wasn't anything that really changed the direction, as we approached this in kind of a loose way. So we let it go where it wanted to go. There was like, we didn't have an ending in mind. So even when we edited the movie, it changed again and again. And so there was nothing that really changed the direction of the movie. But there were a few moments that were shocking or revealing. And for me, one of them is in the beginning, of course, when Claude and Marianne are in the synagogue in Luxembourg, and Marianne asks him about the Jewish community in Luxembourg. And then there are all these numbers, and there's one shocking number. And when he asks Claude, so how many Jewish people were hidden? Or how many Luxembourgers were hiding Jewish people? And Claude just answers with one. And we were standing there like, did he understand the question? What, one? It's like, I have been told differently, like from history and culture, what Luxembourg wants to be. And so it's really important that that facts like that shock you, but that you then adapt in a way to it and change your perspective.
For me, what was very striking was in which the Jewish community with David Gurfinkel, you mentioned him, he was our guide, and this community, but also with the Center for Dialogue, Marek Edelman, these are places and people who take care and who fight a lot right now. And it's, for me, it was striking in the sense I'm sure that with these people and with young people, the situation will change again, because of course, Poland has a problem, but not only Poland. I mean, the year before, when we were preparing the film, we were in Berlin, and we were in Germany, in eastern part of Germany. Our dog is barking. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
And,
mine's in the background. I'm glad it's staying quiet. So.
and the scenes were really shocking as well in Germany. But now with COVID, with anti-vax people who mix up history, who bring facts to it's incredible what is happening. I think really we need education, and we really need more education about history, about what happened, what is happening now, and what is going to happen, in order to try to imagine our future. And I think this is something which is missing, not only in Luxembourg, but all over Europe. I don't know what is the situation in the United States, but I remember some months ago being very afraid, and now it seems to be better, and I hope that the communities, the people who fight for democracy and for also for the memory are stronger, are getting stronger again. This is something very important.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I agree. And I would say the United States is not immune to what you're talking about. You know, there are a lot of issues around what is taught in school, and a lot of debates around certain things. And to me, it's a little unfortunate, because there's so much that needs to be shared so that we can educate properly. You know, there's a lot of moving pieces with that. I'd love to know if there were any big challenges that you confronted when making the film, and anything you want to share about that.
Well, one thing is that the young people and the older people in the movie, they didn't know each other. So when we started to shoot the movie, they also started to get to know each other, and it was a bit of a gamble, like how are these relationships going to evolve and grow during the movie, and how is it going to impact, and are they relating to their stories? And so of course they met before we started to shoot, but it was really during the movie that they got to know each other. And it's interesting, because a lot of the things that they tell us in the movie, it's also the first time that they talk about it, and that their relationship really builds up on screen.
That was important, to have this observation with our camera, and to discover that these people are slowly but surely getting friends, and they are friends, and we are friends. And it's such a magical moment to think of, because there was no COVID. We could shoot the movie without masks, and we were traveling through Europe and having this time. And also then afterwards with COVID, we had so much time to edit the movie and to think about. It's not perfect, but I think we had enough time to make the movie we believe in. we still are not proud, but we can show it. We are happy about the result.
Well, I think that you should be. I think it's really profound, you know, and working with teenagers, I was like, oh, I want to show them this particular part. You know, this is, you know, really remarkable for them to see how other, you know, young people are reacting, and how their lives are taking shape in a situation which is very difficult, right? All of these people are struggling in their own way. So I'm proud of your film and what you have contributed to it. I'd love to ask a little bit about about what you mentioned, the young people. Do you know if they've continued any relationships with the older people in the film? Because we know we typically take survivors on our program, you know, and those relationships are really unique that students and survivors build. I'm curious if they've continued to interact, if you've helped to facilitate that, what that's looked like.
They are studying. I mean, Christina is she's from Syria, and she's studying now international law in the Netherlands. And she, when she's here in Luxembourg, we meet her, and she also attends all these presentations of the movie. And we invite also Claude Marx, and we were presenting the film. We've presented it 2 months ago in Łódź. They couldn't join, but they were asking us like how it went, and how is Marian, and is he feeling well, and they would like to invite him. And Christina, for instance, she would like to invite him also to the university in Groningen in the Netherlands, because she thinks that even law students need to refresh some of their thoughts about history. And yes, as soon, I mean, as much as we can, we meet, and the relation is still important. And Claude, yes, Claude is constantly asking about them, about us and about them.
Yes, also during the shooting, it was really interesting to see. So they had their WhatsApp group where they communicated, and so the teenagers, they wouldn't have breakfast without Claude. So they came down to the lobby, and they were there ready to have breakfast, and they were like, where's Claude? Where's Claude? We're not going to eat without him. We need him. So they had like this really tight relationship where they wanted to spend time together also on their free time.
That's really beautiful and wonderful to hear. You know, I'm curious, you mentioned already that you're showing the film or starting to think about where you want to show the film. What are your plans for this film, and what are your goals for getting it out into the community, to the world?
So I think one part that is going to start now is our work with the schools, and to show it in schools, to use it as a tool, and to talk with the students about it. So we want to spend as much time as we can with the audience, especially with a younger audience, and also to make this connection with an older generation in the real world. So not only let people or young people watch the movie and learn from the movie, but also trying to replicate the same thing off screen.
Exactly. Try to find places, maybe not movie theaters, but other places to show the movie, or maybe have it, having the movie like online somewhere. I think the situation is very convenient for this kind of movie now, because seeing it on a big screen is beautiful, maybe, but the fact is that what we tend to do with it is to generate, replicate a discussion, an exchange, and that's the idea now. And we are happy that it will be shown in Miami.
Of course, of course. Yeah, when I was watching it, with my educator hat, I was thinking how is there an educator, guide, right? Like, is there a curriculum in a way that this could be taught? Because that's where my head went. I felt that it would be so profound for that young audience, because there's young people in it that have very different stories, at least from the teens that I work with, and I think that is something that is really significant to share out. So that's where my head went. I saw you guys smile. So I guess you're thinking about that, or you worked on
working on it. We are exactly working on it in different languages, and because in Luxembourg, it's French, German, and Luxembourgish, but also in Poland, we need English, so we are working on it.
Okay.
If you want to share it with you as soon as
if you want me to read English, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
I'm happy to review it.
Great.
My background is in curriculum and instruction and writing and English literature, so I'm happy to
perfect
to do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it would really be an honor, because I think that this is so important. What you have done and to get that message out is so important. So I'd love to just open, for the last question or so, just open the floor and see if there's anything else that you'd love to share with the audience about your experience with the film, about the importance of it to the two of you, anything else that you'd like to share.
You were talking about history and also like the bridge to the present. And I think it's really important that history is not something of the past, and history is not like something that is dead, but it's just an extended form of the present. I mean, history is so impactful, and it's always in the making. Even like this interview, when the audience is going to watch it, will be of the past. But so we have to be aware that we are part of history as we live in our present, and that we are shaping it, and that we have the capabilities to shape history and to have an impact. So it is important to teach that history is not like, okay, that's something that happened and it's not happening again, but it's in the making. And that's something that we need to also teach people through this movie. And we have now here in Luxembourg, people who are demonstrating against the measures that the government takes against the COVID pandemic. And there's a large group, I mean, not a large group, but a significant group, a very loud and visually present group of people who compare the measures and their situation with the Holocaust. So they are wearing symbols, and they use history in such a wrong way to illustrate their situation that you just have the impression that they don't know anything about history. And so there seems to be a lack of education on a lot of levels.
Yeah, and for me it is so striking that it's not only the extended part of the present, but it's also a vision for the future. History can shape the future, we can shape the future, and we can tell these people, hey, guys, it's impossible to compare COVID measures to what happened then, because, and we need this time and we need places to explain to people and to re-explain. This is education, and to use films to do that also. So we are happy to have made this film, which will be used hopefully in schools in Luxembourg, in Europe, and in the United States, because other festivals asked us the same a few months ago. So yes, we are happy to generate discussions with that tool, if I may say.
That's really wonderful. I agree a lot with what you're saying, and I think our audience would agree, especially with, you know, education being at the forefront, or the need for so much of what's going on and the conversations that are happening in our present day, and how can we educate other people, our communities, better or in more profound ways, so that we can, you know, really be true to what occurred. And I think there's been issues in the United States with drawing, you know, a connection between COVID and the Holocaust. And you know, it's really, really difficult to watch and see, because again, it's kind of rewriting a history. And that's not okay, you know. So I think that the best that we can do, and I say we as educators, to educate the population. And so I love that this film does that. And so, you know, I want to thank you for giving this gift of the film to the larger community. And really thank both of you, Karolina, Pascal, for directing this film and for joining me today. And once again, thank you to all of our members, our sponsors, our community partners, our volunteers, and all of you film lovers for participating in the milestone 25th Miami Jewish Film Festival. Thank you all so much.